the Committee of Petitions of Parliament to meet regarding proposal for ad hoc committee regarding NVGEBE, GI, Minister ECYS, issues. Clear message on roles, respect and accountability in education governance. Richanel Brugge, Parliament to address the escalating situation involving the nation's fire and ambulance personnel. MP Lewis. My response to Minister Grisha Haliger-Martin. Based on her radio interview, from the island, Sint Maarten. This is SXM Daily News for February 2nd, 2026. President of Parliament Sarah Westcott Williams. On the agenda point for this committee meeting is the proposal before us for an ad hoc committee regarding NVGEBE. Where are we on this matter today for this meeting? It was at the end of the parliamentary year 2025 that in my capacity as Member of Parliament, I indicated my intentions to present a proposal for the establishment of a Committee of Parliament that would deal with the issues related to NVGEBE from a parliamentary perspective. Additionally, on November 5th of 2025, Parliament received a letter from the Member of Parliament, MP Omar Otley, on behalf of the members of the public of St. Maarten, addressing the critical issue of NVGEBE.
It was at the end of the parliamentary year 24-25 that in my capacity as Member of Parliament, I indicated my intentions to present a proposal for the establishment of a Committee of Parliament that would deal with the issues related to NVGEBE from a parliamentary perspective. Additionally, on November the 5th of 2025, Parliament received a letter from the Member of Parliament, MP Otley, on behalf of members of the public of St. Maarten addressing the critical issue of NVGEBE. Attached to this petition proposal was a document titled Petition to the Government of St. Maarten. The people demand immediate relief from NVGEBE's failures, along with several signatures. This petition derives from several town hall meetings regarding this topic, as explained in his proposal by the MP. The letter also outlines the collective concerns of the petitioners and contains a detailed account of the situation experienced by the people of St. Maarten that have affixed their signatures to the document. This document, members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, can be found on the IS 290 of the parliamentary year 2025-2026. After considering the admissibility, relevance, and public interests of the petition, as well as the committee's mandate to ensure that citizens' concerns are addressed transparently and effectively, the Committee of Petitions decided to recommend that an ad hoc committee of Parliament be established to deal with the concerns of the public related to NVGEBE and access to sustainable and affordable electricity and water. Following the aforementioned deliberations and decisions in the meeting of this Committee for Petitions on Tuesday, January the 13th, 2026, a draft proposal concerning the establishment of an ad hoc committee of Parliament was prepared. This proposal for this committee outlines the substantiation for the Parliament of St. Maarten to establish an ad hoc committee on sustainable and affordable electricity and water. This ad hoc committee, a topical committee at that, will relate to the functioning of NVGEBE as well as the need for sustainable and affordable electricity and water. The recommendation and the content of this proposal stems from the initial proposal by Member of Parliament, Westcott myself, as well as the points and content presented by Member of Parliament Otley in the petition on behalf of the people of St. Martin and the committee meeting. This proposal is being submitted by the Committee of Petitions of Parliament in accordance with Article 21, paragraph 4 of the Rules of Order. It is important to note that the draft proposal concerning the establishment of an ad hoc committee of Parliament related to NVGEBE was shared with all members of Parliament on Wednesday, January the 28th, via email. I hope that the members of this committee and those present here today have had a chance to look at this document as sent by email under the title of Proposal for an Ad Hoc Committee on Sustainable and Affordable Electricity and Water. And it is to be presented further by this committee in which the decision was made to have such established. Members of Parliament, to whom can I give the floor at this time for any comments, feedback, additions that you would like to suggest to the proposal on the table at this time?
I wasn't going to speak, but seeing that you brought some pointers forward, I said, you know, I still want to share some sentiments in regards to this, because as you mentioned, this is a petition committee, and there were it was a way to handle this as well and say, okay, it doesn't fit the requirements and we leave it there. But I love the fact that as a committee, we came to the understanding, seeing that several times, several moments by several MPs, the GB-related matters were discussed in different ways, shapes, and forms. And I believe having this ad hoc committee will efficiently, we as members of Parliament can make use of that tool to the finger on the pulse, how I don't know the translation, but we can focus and dive deeper into the matter of GEBE instead of doing it separately. And I'm looking forward to the establishment of this ad hoc committee so that we can collectively see where we're going, where the government is at the moment, and where we can make sure that we follow up on steps that are currently being taken and which will be taken in the future, so that at the end, the basic need of electricity will be granted to all the people of St. Martin, because we shouldn't forget that having electricity and water is a basic need and shouldn't be taken lightly in any shape or form. That's my contribution. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Minister of Public Health, Social Development and Labour, Richinel Brugge, public meeting of Parliament to address the escalating situation involving the nation's fire and ambulance personnel on January 29th, 2026, in the Legislative Hall at the House of Parliament.
First question, can the Minister provide some sort of proof that discussions have been held with the Minister of Finance to ensure that funds are actually available based on the commitments? Madam Chair Lady, before answering the question of MP La Cruz, allow me to indicate the following. The SG of the VSA and my chef de cabinet have been in discussion with the Cabinet and Ministry of Finance from day one to ensure that these funds are actually on the budget. The budget allocation for uniforms for the ambulance personnel was added to the draft 2026 budget after discussion with VSA controllers and the Cabinet of the Honorable Minister of Finance last year. While VSA had to cut its proposed draft budget 2026 more than once thereafter, it was reiterated that the funds for VSA staff, in particular ambulance specific items, could not be touched. Up to this moment, funds are still on the draft 2026 budget for the uniforms. If Parliament would like further proof, I can share email correspondence between my chef de cabinet and the Cabinet of Finance and SG Howell of September 1st, 2025 and December 11, 2025, which basically states that VSA will cooperate and cut from the draft 2025 budget amendment and/or the draft 2026 budget. However, important to note that based on whichever budget VSR starts 2026 with, all takeover funds, all additional funds from external stakeholders, and ambulance funds must be on the budget. Second question posed by MP La Cruz asks for my interpretation of the term career path. Madam Chair Lady, I interpret career path as steps an individual can take to grow from entry-level function to more advanced function or leadership position based on experience, performance, training, and competency developed. It is for this reason that I am working with all stakeholders to put particular benefits in place to ensure our VSR staff or frontline workers are recognized based on their special type of work. This is also why we are focusing on adjusting our function books, not from a generic perspective, but from the premises that VSR has frontline workers who work around the clock during times of disaster. It is no secret that when a disaster hit, the entire ministry, including administrative staff, will function as frontline workers. Furthermore, based on different deliberations and assessment of best practices, we have concluded that our function book must be revised in such a way that VSR staff could also function remotely within our community, ensuring the best services to the public, especially those who cannot come to the building. Last year, we started with a consulting group to assist managers of different departments with their main organizational challenges. Function book is one of them that has been identified and will be dealt with this year. Madam Chair Lady, those were all the questions that were posed by the members of Parliament. Please allow me a few minutes also to give you some updates from the last time we were here in Parliament, November 10, 2025, of what have happened between VSR and the union and the ambulance department. Madam Chair Lady, I would like to inform you that I continue to be in constant dialogue with the union and members of the ambulance department. We met as recent as yesterday. Yesterday, Wednesday, January 28, the ministry met with union representative Ms. Sharon Kanagita, together with the ambulance workers negotiation team. During this meeting, the union was informed by my person that we received several communications from the Prime Minister and his chef de cabinet indicating that at this stage, their ministry's participation in the negotiation team is not deemed necessary. After a lengthy discussion with the disappointment of this topic between the negotiation team and myself, we mutually agreed to have open discussion on a way forward with representative from the Ministry of the Cabinet of Finance and the representative from the Department of Labor, including a legal advisor that is hired by the cabinet for this particular matter. In addition to this particular item, we also discussed, as mentioned earlier, we also discussed the uniform aspect, and we indicated to the union and the negotiation team that we have budgeted 30,000 guilders for 2026 and 2027 budget to ensure that the members receive much-needed uniforms. We also had discussion on the topic of the medical room that has to be established by the Jocelyn Arnell Festival Village. That also has to be, that basically what we are doing right now is that we are finalizing it. It still has to go to COM to be approved. And once it's approved in COM, within a period of 1 month, the construction company assured us that that project would be finished. We are aiming to have that completed before next carnival season.
MP Ardwell Irian would like to see within Education City is a policy that requires members of Parliament, the public and private to send written approval of the President to the Minister of Education, to be able to donate, to be able to enter, to be able to talk with students from the public schools. And I would like to know if it was brought up.
Requires members of Parliament, the public, private, to send written approval request then to the Minister of Education to be able to donate, to be able to enter, to be able to have a talk with students from the public schools. And I would like to know if, and I understood it was brought up because of the MP Roseberg, and I don't quite get why this policy exists. I also believe it causes a disadvantage to the non-public schools, because if I have to donate to a public school, I have to wait an approval from the government. I might as well just donate to other schools that I don't have to go through a lengthy process. I understood it was put in place to protect the staff and students, but again, if a school is requesting MP Westcott to come and speak, I'm assuming they already did their background checks on that individual and in terms of safety, etc. So your
notification being MP Irian?
My notification is,
you want to put that out there?
Put out there, yes. Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Over the past year of my tenure as Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, Melissa Gums, I've become increasingly disturbed and concerned by multiple patterns in the way some school boards engage with the ministry. In several instances, the tone of that engagement has been dismissive, confrontational, or unnecessarily adversarial, rather than reflective of the mutual respect and partnership required to deliver quality education for the children. Let me be very clear. Different perspectives in robust debate are a normal path of levels. Disrespect, however, is not, because it undermines collaboration, it erodes public trust, and ultimately affects the learning environment.
Over the past year of my tenure as Minister of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport, I've become increasingly disturbed and concerned by a noticeable pattern in the way some school boards engage with the ministry. In several instances, the tone of that engagement has been dismissive, confrontational, or unnecessarily adversarial, rather than reflective of the mutual respect and partnership required to deliver quality education for the children of St. Martin. Let me be very clear. Differing perspectives and robust debate are a normal part of governance. Disrespect, however, is not, because it undermines collaboration, erodes public trust, and ultimately affects the learning environment for our children. School boards play an important and legally defined role within our education system. They're responsible for the operation of their institutions and for ensuring the quality of education delivered at the school level. That role is exercised within the legal and policy framework governing education, which is established by law through Parliament and executed by the ministry in the public interest. It does not extend to defining that framework or substituting institutional authority for ministerial responsibility. At the same time, the ministry bears the overall responsibility for safeguarding public interest, ensuring accountability in the use of public funds, and upholding national education standards. These responsibilities are not in competition. They are interdependent and require cooperation, professionalism, and respect. Education in St. Martin is overwhelmingly financed by the government on behalf of the people of this country. That public investment, whether in public or subsidized schools, carries with it a clear expectation of responsible stewardship, accountability, and professional engagement by all parties entrusted with the delivery of education. Every minute spent on unproductive back and forth is a minute not spent improving literacy and numeracy, strengthening student well-being, enhancing school safety, or supporting our teachers. That is not where our energy should be directed, and it is not what the public expects of those entrusted with the education of our nation's children. Where previous norms may have allowed a different tone of engagement, I want to make it abundantly clear today that moving forward, this minister and the ministry will engage only on the basis of mutual respect, professionalism, and good faith. This is not a preference. It is a standard by which this ministry will conduct its work and manage its relationships within the education system. And this applies to all education stakeholders, inclusive of school boards. This standard is essential to maintaining a functional education system and to ensuring that our collective focus remains where it belongs, on improving the quality of education for the children of this country. The ministry remains committed to constructive dialogue, collaboration, and problem solving. we are prepared to work constructively with all school boards that share a genuine commitment to partnership and to the advancement of education in St. Martin. We can and we must model the civic behavior we expect from our students: respect, responsibility, and constructive problem solving. As minister, I will continue to exercise my responsibilities in the public interest, and I expect all partners within the education system to do the same, without exception.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurances.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
President of Parliament Sarah Westcott Williams has expressed disappointment over how Thursday's parliamentary meeting on the fire and ambulance departments unfolded, particularly for the workers who have endured years of uncertainty and delays while political maneuvering continues around them. The meeting in question was not a sudden development. It was formally requested in November of last year and commenced a week later with initial questions posed. Delays in continuation followed for various reasons, including the unavailability of ministers. As President of Parliament, Westcott Williams reiterated that it has long been standard practice to request that, if a minister is unable to attend a parliamentary meeting, the Deputy Minister be present to respond on behalf of the government. Parliament has repeatedly insisted on this very principle, precisely to prevent unnecessary postponements and to ensure continuity and accountability, Westcott Williams stated. In Thursday's meeting, the Deputy Prime Minister was present and prepared to respond. However, objections were raised by some members of Parliament regarding the Deputy Prime Minister's presence, despite full knowledge that the Prime Minister was off island. These objections did not arise in a vacuum, Westcott Williams explained. It became clear that certain members were positioning themselves politically, having a draft motion against the Prime Minister in their back pocket, rather than focusing on the substantive issues affecting the fire and ambulance personnel. After consulting with both the Deputy Prime Minister and the Prime Minister, regarding the earliest availability for the Prime Minister to attend in person, Westcott Williams took the decision, in her capacity as President of Parliament, to adjourn the meeting and continue it as soon as the Prime Minister could be present. This decision was taken to ensure fairness, due process, and the right of the Prime Minister to respond directly to a motion in which he is named personally. At the same time, she noted, it is imperative that when this meeting resumes, Parliament receives a clear, concise, and factual breakdown of the status of all outstanding matters, whether relating to job classification, placement, retroactive issues, or other sticking points. We cannot solve a problem we do not fully understand or have a complete overview. Westcott Williams also addressed concerns raised about motions of no confidence, referencing her own legislative initiative aimed at bringing greater structure, proportionality, and fairness to how such motions are introduced and handled. She emphasized that disagreement with policy or execution should not automatically escalate to the most extreme parliamentary instrument, particularly when facts are incomplete or emotions are high. Public meeting of Parliament to address the escalating situation involving the nation's fire and ambulance personnel by the Grisha Heiliger Martin, Minister of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport and Telecommunication.
One thing that piqued the MP's interest was a meeting held on May 1st, 2023. The MP understood that the PM was not present, but seemingly the PM listens to his advisors. So MP York would like to know and would like an explanation on how the meeting went. In this context, the MP may be referring to the letter dated May 1st, 2023 by CCSU providing positive advice on the function book for the fire department and ICT department, and as this letter was mentioned during the Prime Minister presentation. MP York has also correctly pointed out that the Prime Minister was not present at that meeting, and based on the letter mentioned, the Prime Minister can conclude that the function books were approved by CCSU. Next question posed by MP York: what are the PM's intention to make sure that the go slow does not proceed another hour? During the Prime Minister's presentation, evidence was provided to Parliament demonstrating that all actions requested by the unions have been addressed, and in addition to initiating the placement process, furthermore, a mediator has been mutually selected to facilitate further discussion. Next and final questions posed by MP La Cruz. Has any of these discussions taken place with the Minister of Finance? And if so, can the Member of Parliament get a copy of these discussions so that the members of Parliament can be informed? The Ministry of Finance was involved in the discussions leading to the drafting of the financial paragraph in the Note of Ontoelichting of the National Decree. This reflects the input of the Ministry of Finance on the financial implication, and the Note of Ontoelichting, including the financial paragraph, has been published and is therefore already available to members of Parliament. Next question posed by MP La Cruz. The MP's colleagues asked for financial page, and the MP would like to see what in addition the MP would like to see that. And in addition, the MP would like to see what the financial impact with a budget with no revenue generating measures would be. The financial paragraph, including the Note of Ontoelichting of the National Decree, outlines the estimated financial impact, including the calculations based on the immediate filling of a newly created position. It is further explained that the position do not have to be filled at once and may be filled gradually, which could affect the actual budgetary impact. Next question. MP would like to both ministers, the Minister PM and as Minister of VSA, to give the MP the definition of career. A common definition is occupation undertaken for a significant period of a person's life with opportunities for progress. In this case of the fire department, for instance, it means consecutive positions that can be fulfilled after qualifying for them by obtaining required experience and professional certification. Next question. Are the same LBAs for promotions and objections committees being used for the fire department being used for the ambulance department? No, the LBA for the placement and objection committees being used for the fire department will not be used for the ambulance department, and once there is an established function book, a similar LBA specifically for the ambulance department will be drafted to establish the necessary committees for the implementations of the function book in the Ministry of VSA. And I think the final question for the day is what is the timeline for execution, and can the PM provide clear dates for each step? The LBA was published on November 21st, 2025, and on that same day, letters were dispersed to the staff of the fire department and ICT department. The staff will have until January 9, 2026 to file any claims. The placement officers would be dispersed by the end of January 2026. Staff will then have 30 days to file any objections. And when there is no claims or objections, the final placement, L-base, can be used by the end of February 2026. Handling of objections will also start at the end of February 2026. The time this will take will depend on the number of objections received.
Willemstad. The death of Hushang Ansari, the central figure in the Enia insurance scandal, has renewed attention on a long-running question. What is the status of the criminal case, and will those allegedly responsible for criminal offences still face prosecution? Although Ansari, who was born in Iran and later became a US citizen, passed away earlier this month at the age of 98, the criminal dimension of the Enia affair has not been closed. On the contrary, the Central Bank of Curaçao and Sint Maarten, CBCS, has formally taken steps to push the Public Prosecutor's Office to proceed with criminal charges. The CBCS filed its original criminal complaint in the Enia case in June 2018. That was followed by a supplementary complaint in August 2019. Nearly 8 years later, no criminal prosecution has yet been initiated, despite extensive civil proceedings and judicial findings on mismanagement within the Enia Group. A spokesperson for the CBCS confirmed that the central bank formally submitted an Article 15 complaint on July 9, 2025. Through this filing, the CBCS challenged the fact that the criminal investigation conducted by the Public Prosecutor's Office has not resulted in prosecution of individuals deemed responsible for potential criminal offences related to Enia. The CBCS has asked the Joint Court of Justice to order the Public Prosecutor's Office to proceed with prosecution. The complaint is currently under review, and a hearing on the matter is expected to take place in the near future. A ruling by the court is still pending. The move underscores growing institutional frustration over the prolonged absence of criminal accountability in one of the largest financial scandals in the history of Curaçao and Sint Maarten. While civil judgments have already established severe wrongdoing and led to massive financial consequences, the criminal track has lagged far behind. The Ministry of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport and Telecommunication officially commenced the Strategic Economic Stakeholders Consultation, taking place February 2nd and 6th, 2026, bringing together a compact but high-impact group of regional experts, local leaders, and policymakers to initiate Sint Maarten's next phase of economic planning. This week's consultation is supported by a diverse group of speakers and contributors with hands-on experience in economic transformation, tourism development, climate resilience, innovation, and governance, including Jim Heppel, known for his advisory work supporting Aruba's tourism development and strategic positioning, with a strong focus on sustainable destination management. Vincent Wallace, a seasoned tourism professional who has contributed significantly to the Bahamas tourism sector through senior leadership and policy-driven roles. Tadzio Bervowetz, widely recognized for his work in climate action, environmental protection, and sustainable development within small island contexts. Emily Lee, former Minister of VSA, hotelier, and entrepreneur, bringing practical insight across public policy, private enterprise, and hospitality operations. Gregory Richardson, known for his work in artificial intelligence, digital transformation, and innovation ecosystems, with relevance for modern public and private sector reform. Together with the on-island expert team, these contributors are supporting a focused working session approach designed to move quickly from dialogue to direction. As Minister Grisha Heiliger Martin emphasized, this week is intentionally compact and focused. It is not the final word. It is the beginning. The purpose is to set direction, identify priorities, and establish a strong foundation for the strategic economic development plan that will follow. Stakeholder engagement does not end here. It expands from here.
Now for the weather forecast, tonight through Tuesday midday. Variably cloudy with scattered showers. Surface winds, today through Tuesday midday, south-southeasterly with a gentle to variable breeze from 10 to 2 mep. State of the sea, slight to moderate waves, swells, 3 to 6 feet in NW swell outlook through Wednesday midday. Variably cloudy with scattered showers. And now your 3-day forecast.
Your social and health insurances. Your social and health insurances.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
MP Lewis. My response to Minister Grisha Halliger-Martin. Based on her radio interview, instead of presenting a vision for the people of this country for 2026, the minister chose to launch personal attacks against MP Lacroze and me. She even brought private matters into the public about a husband being released from prison and her purchase of a Bible for him, and issues that have nothing to do with the family struggling with the NVGEBE bills. As the minister, Halliger-Martin has the authority and the capacity to provide relief for the general public, yet she chooses not to. In her rant, she suggested taking the market vendors to the church minister. Perhaps you need to tell Madam Chair that it is more than the vendors that needs church. MP Lyndon Lewis, speaking on the floor of Parliament.
Madam Chair, my notification is to the people of St. Martin today for some clarity, and I'll try to keep it brief.
Please.
My response to Minister of TIAT, Grisha Halliger-Martin, based on her radio interview, instead of presenting a vision for the people of this country for 2026, the Minister, Madam Chair, chose to launch personal attacks against MP Lacroze and myself. She even brought private matters into the public pertaining to her husband being released from prison and her purchase of a Bible for him, and issues that has nothing to do with the family struggling with the GB bills. As the Minister of TIAT, she has the authority and the capacity to provide relief for the general public, and yet she chose not to. In her rant, she suggested taking the market vendors to church. Minister, perhaps you need, through you, Madam Chair, it is more than the vendors that needs church. The vendors are still waiting for the promised relief while lottery license holders
MP, please
receive
finalize your
preferential
notification.
treatment without delay. Madam Chair, there are many other issues that the minister can deal with, and I will say this. A, she said on the public radio that she feels betrayed. The minister said that she feels betrayed by my person. Madam Chair, anyone should feel betrayed is me, who was part of the coalition and that's no longer part of the coalition. Thank you, Madam Chair.
HNLMS Friesland will take over the role of station ship in the Caribbean from HNLMS Groningen. The patrol ship arrived in St. Martin on Sunday morning, February 1st, for a short stop. On Monday morning, February 2nd, HNLMS Friesland will sail into St. Anna Bay in Willemstad. The ship will patrol the region in the coming months and will also be ready to provide emergency assistance. HNLMS Groningen has conducted frequent patrols around the ABC Islands in recent months. The station ship served as the Ministry of Defence's eyes and ears at sea in the Caribbean region, monitoring the security situation in the region. The ship also supported the Caribbean Coast Guard and was ready to provide emergency assistance. Just as with HNLMS Groningen, HNLMS Friesland will also be accompanied by an NH-90 maritime attack helicopter from the Netherlands to the Caribbean. With the help of a maritime attack helicopter, the ship can see further and react faster. The Royal Netherlands Navy has 4 Holland-class patrol vessels. These OPVs, ocean-going patrol vessels, are flexible deployable vessels for monitoring coastal waters. The NH-90 maritime attack helicopter has returned on board to support the ship with air operations. By maintaining a station ship in the region, the Ministry of Defense contributes to peace and security in the Caribbean region. This is our SXM Daily Newscast. Thank you for joining us.